Yuka was, well, for unfortunate reasons, but to our benefit, we got to spend more time with Yuka than we originally anticipated because he was a senior when we were freshmen. And then he wound up being there for a couple of years, which we'll talk about. But he was somebody that was, a really important mentor to everyone on the team. So, and someone that's, really accomplished a lot. And from what I saw on Facebook yesterday, within his household, a lot of people are accomplishing a lot. So, so we'll dive in. So actually, let's start there. Yuka, if you could maybe give everyone a sense of your background for anyone that's not familiar, and just kind of leading up to your life and your family now.
Yeah, I mean, where do I begin? How far back do you want to
go? As far back as you want. We're running a secondary breaker. You can do what you want with it.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm a first generation American kid, born to Nigerian loving parents, Bob and Grace Agbai. Born and raised in New York City, born in Brooklyn, in fact, but we moved out to Queens, Jamaica, Queens, later on when I was like in junior high school. I was not, we weren't a basketball family in that my parents weren't gung-ho about basketball in the house. It was more about academics. Although my older brothers both played, I have a brother named James and Sammy, they both played basketball in high school. And my parents, I think my mom, she didn't even want me to play basketball, in fact, to be honest with you. In fact, she made me sign a contract that the only way I was allowed to play basketball was if I kept a B+ or better average. And when I say she was serious about this, she typed up a contract. And when I say type up, you guys are kind of young. I'm talking about old school typewriter that she typed up a contract that I had to sign. And I thought she was joking, but she was that serious. And I think that because of that, I always focused on the academic side as well as the sports, because I wanted to make sure that I was great at both. So that after signing that contract, I started playing basketball. I was a late bloomer. I was, I'll call 4 foot, 5 foot nothing. And then in the 7th and 8th grade, something happened. But if you see my dad, you guys probably saw my dad before. My dad's like down here. So the running gag was that I was the mailman's son or something like that. Back in the day, once I got my growth spurt.
The actual mailman or Karl Malone?
Well, we're not gonna talk about Karl Malone. But, yeah, so I was like 5 foot nothing, and then I ended up being about 6'1" by the 8th grade, and it just didn't stop, kept on growing. And I didn't really start playing like real basketball until it was like the 8th grade. And I was fortunate enough to have a mentor of mine, actually 2 mentors of mine. One by the name of Akai Davidson, another one by the name of Kevin Hamilton, who actually played it for the Celtics for a hot second. Kind of mentored me on playing basketball, and they helped me kind of get my name out there. And I got to play at a prestigious high school called Archbishop Malloy High School in Queens, New York, under the late great Jack Curran, who was, and the high school was perfect for me because it was very rigorous in academics, as was basketball. So that was the only way my mom was going to allow me to go to a high school that played sports if it had the two worlds. But coming from where I grew up, which was, predominantly, Black and diverse. And then in my high school, what was not so much. Like usually you say, okay, all right, well, if they're Black, they're probably going to play a sport or something like that. That was kind of the running gag, but that wasn't the case. It did have, regular students as well, but that was kind of the thing back in the 90s. Fast forward to, I wasn't the best guy on the team, but I was one of the hardest workers. I listened to everything my coach told me in high school because I just wanted to get better. And one thing he put in my mind was that there's always somebody out there getting better than you. There's always somebody. So try to get better than them. So I put this like imaginary person in my mind that was, out there trying to get better than me. And lo and behold, that helped fuel me to get better every single day. And then, you know, I was fortunate enough to become good, you know, feel into my body, and then I started getting recruited by a couple of colleges, and you know, I landed at BC.
Yeah, that's great.
Who are some of the guys, the other colleges that recruited you?
Well, so because I was a late bloomer, and I didn't play any AAU basketball until I think it was the 11th grade. No, sorry, I played a little bit in the 10th grade, but it was only because my buddy was playing for a team called Riverside Church, which was well known back in those days. And then he's like, yo, come play with me on this team. And you know, I got no playing time because no one knew me. I didn't play AAU, I didn't play CYO. No one really knew me. I was kind of an unknown kid. And then the following year, my junior year, Kevin Hamilton and Kai Davis, and they created their own AAU program and called the New York City Jaguars, and it kind of built it around me and a core group of guys. One of my other high school teammates, Justin Wilson, point guard, was a phenomenal point guard out of New York City. You know, we were able to shine and get more exposure out there. We won a bunch of tournaments in the city. We went all around it. And we were a bunch of, like, I guess, like, you know, the misfit toys that no one wanted, like, you know, guys weren't on the team. And so when I was getting recruited, it was a lot of small schools, a lot of mid-majors, like William and Mary, Iona, Ryder, a lot of schools in the MAC, kind of Northeast. A lot of Ivy Leagues, of course, Columbia. Actually, you know, they don't get scholarships there, which was, you know, one of the ways I was able to sell my mom on BC. Because if Columbia offered scholarships back then, I would have been at Columbia. Mom they didn't want me to leave New York City. You know, she was scared. I'm like, Boston's only 4 hours away. It's not that bad, you know. But it came down to, obviously, those, you know, it came down to BC having the best of both worlds and the best thing for me.